So here I'm going to quickly go over how to make a virtual instrument within Kontakt. It's the most popular sampler in the world right now, but if you don't have the full version, then you can only use licensed libraries. So if that's an issue, there's also the TX16WX. Now the main reason I create virtual instruments is for my own use. I don't have a massive collection of virtual instruments yet. So if there's an instrument that I can find, then I'll just record some samples and create an instrument real quick. One example of that is the Scora bottles I did. I took 20 different glass bottles. Also, I did a pan flute recently for another project. So I'm not a very good saxophone player, but I can make some noise with it. So up here you can see the samples that I've recorded. There are some longer ones, then some shorter ones. I distilled that down to the few notes that were the cream of the crop. So this is what we've got to work with after editing each note. Beautiful. So you export those somewhere onto your computer and you bring up Kontakt. If you double click on this empty space or come up here to new instrument, it creates a new instrument. And this little wrench brings up all the tools. So up here you have some options. If you want to do round robins, you can use group editor. There's advanced scripting if you want to do something really complicated. But the two essential things is the mapping editor and then the wave editor. We are going to pull in these samples that we've recorded. So you have to browse for the samples over here. In this case, I have them on a little solid state drive I have kicking around in my tower. So I labeled these by where they go on the keyboard. So there's the long articulation. Here's all the shorts. So you simply drag that in and it'll come up in the wave editor down here. So one very important option here is tracking. If tracking is enabled, you can make this as wide as you want and it'll automatically pitch it to wherever it needs to be. So there's the original pitch, and the farther away you get, the more unnatural it's going to sound. Until it's completely unusable. So you don't want to go very far from the pitch that was originally recorded. Now the higher you drag up on this, the more space it's going to take up. So there's the entire keyboard. Here's just a few notes. So we could start at A3 and maybe go to C. We have C sharp 3. D sharp 3. F sharp 3. And G sharp 3. So now we're at least covering a little bit of space. And it still doesn't sound super realistic. The more time and effort you put into programming this and recording them really well and having multiple samples trigger randomly, the more realistic it's going to sound. And the more articulations you do. This is just a staccato articulation. So up here we have this one note. It's one long note. So down here we can loop it. We can loop it to create a sustained patch. So it's just going to loop that forever. If you click on this little button, it's going to zoom way in so that you can line up the waveforms better. And then if we crossfade it a little bit, it could sound natural. Sometimes you really got to finagle it into place. So normally I would have recorded a longer note than that, and then it's easier to set loop in and out points, but that's half decent. And then you can also trigger a release sample so that it plays the rest of this at the end. Then at least in Kontakt, you can add all sorts of different effects. There's some filters, EQ. Something like maybe tape saturation. Definitely needs some EQing. And down here there's an ASDR curve as well that can be really handy. So that's the basics of it. Have at it.